and the drinks are on my mind. The decision sets in. One love will churn your skin. The love is right. Let them have their time. And I have this notion, let's keep these wheels in motion. In motion. You thought I did not know. Did you think I would let it go? Oh no. And in time, yes, I'll think it's absurd. But until then, you'll leave your words. But lay on. Lay on. Now it's time to defend your lies. Lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, you say that you are innocent, but your words, they seem irrelevant, but still play on. Now it's time to defend your lies. Lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, oh you have reached your lover's end. No more will we make pretend like we something to fight for. Oh. We had nothing to fight for. 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 was never enough. No, never enough. 'Cause you were chasing your dreams, now you can't redeem yourself. You were chasing your dreams, now you can't redeem yourself. Disregard
Good evening, race fans. I'm Pirate here, Black Flag Racing TV, as you know. Right, Sunday night, so we're back for some more of the SIMSA multi-class action. And we're on to round number 3. As you will know if you've watched before, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you now. It's 2 classes of cars. It's the Group 1s and the Group 3s, all racing together on the same circuit. This week we are at Interlagos. I'm going to tell you now, I've been having this week no end of technical issues. I say no end this week, I mean today. Absolutely loads and loads of technical issues. I think I've solved all the ones necessary to get this working, but we'll find out. Yeah, just checking we had some cars in my ear, which we do. Anyone that's watching, if there's anything that's too low, too high, let me know. I can fiddle with it while I'm working, but as you sorry about that, my dog just went mental and ran across the room like a nutter. So we're going to have some Group 1s and Group 3s in the lobby. Now I understand that we've got a bit of an issue with I believe the second lobby, which is usually going to be up at 8 o'clock, and we're a bit short numbers. I understand that some are jumping in here into this one. I assume that means that we won't have a lobby 2 later with Cruentus. It would have been nice to have had that information a little bit sooner. We could have maybe done something. We were planning on doing a split screen with Group 1s, Group 3 on the same screen. But again, the technical issues that have reared their ugly head for me this week have caused a bit of a problem. It's kind of my fault. I got a new desk this week. I did have I don't need to bore you with the details, but we had a desk that had been in my family since my great-grandfather. And it kind of handed down. But it was a little bit too big and oldie worldy for my needs, so I've got something a little bit more modern and a little bit more compact, which kind of yeah. So basically, I had to take everything apart and put it all back together, and it hasn't all gone back together perfectly. There's a couple of leads I need to change out and stuff and bits and pieces. I don't know. Credits is the honest answer. The only information I've got is that guys are joining short on 2. I don't know. I couldn't see anything in the Discord that hinted to it. But as you know, I've been incredibly busy this week and I've had a lot of stuff going on. So, I don't know, is the honest answer. At the moment, we've only got 8 in this lobby, which is, I'm going to be honest, it's quite disappointing considering that we've got 2 lobbies for this. And that there's enough people signed up to fill 2 lobbies that every week people aren't showing up and they're just... it's something I've talked about before. It's a bit of a bugbear of mine that, I understand it's a hobby. And there's no legal requirement to turn up. But if you're going to sign up for a series, you've got to understand that the people behind the scenes put in a lot of work to get it off the ground and to make sure it's running. And if you don't turn up week after week after week, you end up that everybody else suffers because of it. Is that, you organise it based on X amount of people racing. And then you go and do all the work for it. And then no one turns up. And then all the people that are in the lobby that are expected to be racing against 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people are not getting to race. Stig, I think that's the plan, because we were due to start at 6. It's almost 5 past now. But yeah, so that's my little dig. Particularly when you've got the organisers are obviously getting people into broadcast and from a broadcast perspective as well, people don't want to watch 5 or 6 cars on a track. They want to watch a full lobby of close racing. And in order to do that, obviously, you need to fill the lobbies. And so basically what I'm saying is don't be a dick, man. If you're going to sign up for a racing series, turn up. Or don't. Or say, look, I can't turn up. So at least then at the beginning of the week, everybody knows what's going on. I mean, if everybody that couldn't make it on Monday, tomorrow, said, I can't make it next week, I've got X going on. And let's face it, I mean, most of us know roughly what's going on in our lives. Obviously, there are things that come out of the blue, but for the most part, you know what's going on in your life. Whether you're 15 or 45, you roughly know what's going on in your life over the next 7 to 10 days. So, yeah, just think about the people that are actually going to be racing. Think about those guys and the fact that if the lobbies are empty, that these guys are going to lose hope as well. So when you do come to race, there's going to be no one there because there's been no one racing week in, week out. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Interlagos, one of my favourite racing circuits. Absolutely love it. We're here for this now. At the moment, it looks like we've got 4 Group 3s and 5 Group 1s and 3 Group 3s racing. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, there are more coming. Very disappointing if this is all we've got out of 2 lobbies for this evening. I'm having a quick look at the sign-ins, right? And there should be, 9 people signed in for lobby 1 and 11 people signed in for lobby 2. And at the moment, we've just got the 8 here. So we're just waiting for qualifying. I don't know how long we are before qualifying starts. We'll soon find out, I'm pretty sure. That's the wrong lobby. That's last week's. Right, so this is the calendar for this series. It was Daytona week number 1. We had some good racing at Daytona for that 1.5 hour race. Laguna Seca last week, as you know. Interlagos, we've got today for 1 hour. Next week is what I like to call one of the big marquee events. It's Le Mans. Le Mans is an awesome racetrack. It's an hour and a half racing around Le Mans. That's on the 28th of April. That's the kind of race where you have to have your 15 runners in for that, because it's such a big circuit. You could end up with every runner just not seeing another car for an hour and a half, so that really needs to be full. That's followed by the Red Bull Ring, Nürburgring, then the Red Bull Ring, then we've got Spa, followed by Monza. Well into June now, we're back in Europe for Barcelona, Catalunya, then back to the United States for Watkins Glen, Japan for Suzuka and Fuji, and then we finish on the 14th of July with 1.5 hours at Road Atlanta. Incredibly tricky circuit for the Group 1s, that is. It's much better suited to the smaller cars, so it's going to be hard work for the Group 1s to find a rhythm around such a narrow circuit. No margin for error there for those guys. No word yet on when qualifying is about to begin. So talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back with you in 20 seconds. And as if by magic, qualifying is about to begin. Let me get all my details up so I can see what's going on. I've got another issue which you can't see. You should see it nice and clearly in active colour. But one of my screens, for whatever reason, happens to have it's like it's got fog over it. So the colours are washed out of it. I think it's to do with one of my leads. I think when I put everything back, I used the crappy old HDMI lead instead of one of the fangle dangle gold tip number jobbies. So yeah, right. So Group 1s go out first. They'll do their qualifying session. They'll get a chance to set a few laps, and then they'll come in and the Group 3s will go out on track and they'll set theirs. So it's going to be just the 8 cars, 5 Group 1s and 3 Group 3s here for an hour at Interlagos. That is a full tech racing. I saw Philo. I did see Philo Engineering. There he is. So full tech racing from France. He's out there. We'll go on board with him. So he's about to start a lap. So let's go on board with full tech racing. So you come out of the final corner and you head up the hill, and there is a few turns in it, but it is flat out all the way up the hill here at Interlagos. Bit of slipstream here is going to help you along your way. Get over to that right hand side, you're looking for your brake point at 100-metre board. We slam on those brakes, get it turned in, drop down to first gear, get that rotation through the Center S. I know it's not correct. I know it's not working, mate. 3 times I tried to sort it out. As I said, I've got a few technical issues. I've sorted out the most important ones. That for some reason just kept every time I tried to change it, it kept resetting Streamlabs, or actually freezing Streamlabs. So I had to cut it out for now, and I'll sort it out later. I don't know what it is. I've got the tyres working though, but I've got that one to work. Anyway, thanks for that, mate. So through this tricky section, I like to think the middle section here, this particular sector, is very much like a kart circuit, quite twisty. You kind of rely on a bit of throttle control through there. This turn, quite important, this, because this kind of sets you up for your next lap. You go flat out of there, you flick round to this left-hand side at full power, slamming on those anchors into Juncal before you get on the power again. You head up the hill. We will do a full talk through of the lap now, as I was conversing with my commentary bud. So power all the way up the hill. They should reach somewhere around 182, 183 mile an hour. They've got 184 onto the brakes into that center S. Get the car rotated. Not quite as much as that. You want to rotate it a little bit less than that if you can. So there we go. Let me see if these controls are working. Let's go somewhere else, see if those are working. They are working. Right, how's it looking so far? So fastest lap at the moment is with Corey GT35, 119.699, 699. Full Tech didn't get to set time. He spun coming out of that center S. Scorpio Ivan with a 120.0. So just the one driver, Corey, down into those sub 120 laps so far. 21k, Legion 21k, also with a 20.0. Nothing separating at the moment, him and excuse me, and Ivan. I said oh yeah, we will have, because he did get a lap on the board. So he's not sub he is sub 120. Fulltech was sub 120. I lied. He did get a lap in before he spun. That was on his second lap, wasn't it? Maligator, he's in that the group 3. Why is he out on track? I suppose it doesn't matter if the group 3s are qualifying as well, because there's only 8 out there. Philo Engineering is also about to set a time. So in terms of the group 3s, where we're looking, that's Maligator 32.8. Obviously, you can't compare that to the group 1s. There's a big, significant difference between them in terms of speed. That's not a bad start for him. And Arcanite from the United States with a 133.1 in that McLaren 650S. Philo. Do check out if you are into, or you're interested in learning about tuning, particularly focused on Gran Turismo 7, but in general. Philo has a really, really good resource on Tinternet. I think it's philoengineering.co.uk, or something along those lines. I'm sure if you Googled it, you'd probably find it. But it really does help out with... Put it this way, I'm infinitely better at tuning now after having read it than I was before I read it. And it's about understanding tuning in GT7. There's some setup, setup examples on there which you can certainly use to work from. I found them incredibly helpful. Right, so he's back out on track. He hasn't set a time as yet, but he will do. He's in a bit of traffic at the moment on this outlap. He'll want to clear that traffic and give himself a nice clear space ahead around those GR3s. Not so much the GR1's the problem, but certainly the GR3s will be if you get caught behind them on your hot lap. So Scorpio Ivan's put himself on pole. Lobby 2 is happening. Right, okay, cool. Yeah, it's confusing, you see, because we've got people in... Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple from Lobby 2 in Lobby 1. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So Scorpio Ivan with a 119.4 currently sits on pole. Almost 3/10 clear of Corey. I hope you got that correct. Lobby 2 is happening. The Canadian was originally on pole, but didn't hold it when Scorpio Ivan decimated his time. Actually, it was 0.3 of a second. That's quite a big jump. Full throttle. We saw him spinning out on his second hot lap. He's out of that front two. He's now on row 2 in third position with Legion for company, but nothing separating them in terms of time at the moment. Arcanite is your lead Group 3 driver. Now, if you consider the difference in top end speed, we'll have a look when they get to the braking zone, or when Arcanite gets to the braking zone edge your way through at the end of the lap, because or the beginning of the next lap, should I say, because the top speed I think we saw in the Group 1s, around he goes, maybe we won't, top speed in those Group 1s was about 184 miles an hour. I'd like to see what the Group 3s are chucking out actually at the end of that straight. We've got any Group 3s approaching that part of the lap? We have not yet. Actually, Legion Group 1. Yeah, so, it's going to be Arcanite anyway, who was facing the wrong direction. But yeah, I mean, for there only to be 12 seconds between a Group 1 and a Group 3 car here, demonstrates just how quick some of these Group 3 drivers are. Because, you know, the speed, and you'll see the speed differential difference now when they come. I mean, obviously the grip's much better through the corners in the Group 1. You've got a bigger top end, you've got faster acceleration, you've got all those things will play a part. But the difference at the end of the straight, and you'll see here, 184 in the Group 1s, and here into the braking zone he goes, and that is 161. We're talking over 20 mile an hour difference. And I know, look, you know, when we talk about 20 mile an hour zones being put in and everyone having to drive slowly, it doesn't sound that much. But 20 mile an hour is an awful lot when it comes to motor racing. Huge amounts. So for him to be that close to the Group 2s, Group 1, sorry, he's not too shabby. But he's no longer the quickest Group 3 car. That is now Nicky R88 in the Mustang Sally. 11 seconds off the back of Legion at the moment, but a 1:31.8 is a very solid Group 3 time there. Arcanite still just behind him with Maligator bringing up the rear of those three Group 3 runners. Be interested to see if they can close up between, because the difference between Group 3s is about half a second in total between the fastest and slowest. So if those guys can stay really close, talking about how quick and Philo Engineering, that is astounding. So Scorpio Ivan puts in a 1:18.6, absolutely decimating his previous time. Philo Engineering says, hold my beer. And that's what he puts in, a 1:18.616, beating Scorpio Ivan to pole by 19 hundredths of a second. So Philo Engineering from Scorpio Ivan. Corey down into row 2 with Full Tech Racing. A Legion at the back of those Group 1 runners. Your Group 3 runners, Nicky, Maligator and Arcanite, will be starting obviously behind them, which makes sense. The last thing you want is for 5 Group 1 cars to be bearing down on the back of 3 Group 3 cars at the end of or into your first braking zone on any lap. So Scorpio Ivan in full tech racing in as well. It's going to really confuse the hell out of me, because I know another tech racing, an Australian guy, who is just he's not full tech racing, he's just tech racing. But yeah, it's going to be really confusing seeing his name up there and thinking, even though I know it's not actually him. Who we got in chats? Obviously, correct is there. Stig. Good to see you again, man. Cold Waters. Hazlitt. Yeah, lovely to see it happening. That's good news. And Jocko. Let's go full tech racing. Well, he's currently on road 2. Listen, it's 8 tenths of a second between him and Philo, which is not all that shabby. So Scorpio is going very slowly. Is that because the time's run out? I think it might be. No. Was he going slowly on purpose? He might be creating himself a nice big gap, maybe, because the car ahead of him is it's Nicky. So yeah, he's trying to create a bit of a gap so he doesn't happen upon a Group 3 car when he goes flat out. And you can see now he's just putting the foot down. He's from 3 Crowns Racing Team. That's what 3CR stands for. Cristiano Ronaldo has not changed his number. Right, can he catch that Mustang ahead? This is why I can't be taken seriously, because I wouldn't care if I got pole. I'd just be like, can I catch that Group 3 ahead before the end of the lap? And drive like a nutter to do that. You can't find him on PSN. Hang on. Oh, it's Arcanite Prime, that's why. I think if we go to... Yeah. Search Arcanite Prime, mate. Then you might find him, just Arcanite Prime, without the DSR. Alternatively, Arcanite, can you give Quentus a friendly? Excuse me. I'm assuming Arcanite is racing again later as well. Yeah, he's broadcasting Lobby 2, buddy. Which is normally Arcanite presenting, hosting that one. So Philo on pole. He has improved on that 18616, which was already phenomenal, with 18610. But there's still time to improve on that. We've got two cars sub 119. We've got Full Tech. We've got Corey. They're sub 120. Legion has dipped into sub 120s, but nothing consistent yet. And he didn't catch that Mustang. He's not far off him, but he didn't catch him in the end. He's just behind him. This is his first hot lap back out. It's not going to be an improvement though. He certainly lost some time somewhere. So across the line he will go. That's not an improvement, but it's a red time, so he's clearly got off the track somewhere. Kiko, hi, how you doing? Welcome to the jungle. We've got fun and games. Right, so Philo Engineering is your pole sitter, but he's having another little crack at knocking this one out. And then Nicky, of course, it will be your pole sitter for the... Well, pole sitter for the GR3s anyway. There's not a pole as such because they're going to be back behind those Group 1s. But if there were a pole specifically for them, he would be on it. Just like your mum. No, I'm only joking. Maligator in that Lexus. Only a couple of tenths off, jumping ahead of Nicky. And Arcanite's only 3 off the back of Maligator, so this could be quite an interesting racing session. Arcanite's got no fuel on board, neither does Maligator. I think they're creeping back to nip into the pits and put some fuel on, or have they decided not to? I don't think they're going to bother. I think that the time is going to run out before their fuel does. Full Tech, he's clearly been happy with his time. He's jumped into the pits and sat there. I think sometimes if you put in a time that you're happy with, you're better off kind of getting your head in the game, getting a drink sorted, having a little stretch, and getting ready for your hour's worth of racing. There is only one downside to my new desk, because it's a lot smaller than the other one, so I've got less space for things, which is a bit annoying. I've had to work out a clever system for my wheel. I'm not going to share it because I can't be bothered. Right. So that's the end of qualifying, and Philo Engineering is your pole sitter with what turned out to be an absolutely phenomenal lap in the end there. A 1:18.460. Absolutely blowing away the previous 2 times. That quali's done, mate. It's a 15-minute quali. Usually, Quint, is what they'll do when the lobbies are fuller. They will do the Group 1s will go out for 7.5 minutes. Then the Group 3s will go out for 7.5 minutes on their own, so they don't interfere with each other. But I think because the lobby is short, they've just gone out together because it's not that big a deal. So there we have it. Qualifying is complete. Philo Engineering will be on the front row with Scorpio Ivan. It'll be Corey and Full Tech on row 2. Row 3 will be Legion. He'll have Nicky alongside him, who is de facto pole for those Group 3s, with Maligator and Arcanite side by side, as they should be, hand in hand, side by side, brothers in arms, in that McLaren 650S. And Maligator in the Lexus. The Lexus, of course, very, very strong at Daytona. How strong is it going to be here at Interlagos? You've got to have Interlagos is an interesting track because you've got to have a car that's nimble enough for that sort of intersection, particularly where it's really twisted. You've got those kind of left and rights, and you also got to have a car that equally is very good around the really fast corners and can hold its own in a straight line. It's a setup for Daytona won't necessarily work here. Unless I'll tell you what. Actually, talking of Daytona, it's very much like for me a bit of Daytona infield because you've got that really long back straight, that really long front straight, and then you've got a kind of twisty section in the middle that just requires a little bit of finesse. So it's not dissimilar, although it's better and much less oval, of course. Right, so there we have it. We can bring up the official list just for shits and gigs. There is Philo from Scorpio, Corey from Full Tech Legion. That's your 5 Group 1 cars, and then Nicky and Maligator and Arcanite bringing up for or repping for those Group 3s. So here we go. Some good racing ready. Everyone is where they need to be. We've got Roberts has joined us. I'm assuming he's going to get tucked in. Set by host somewhere along the line. Now he is capable of a quick lap or two. Is Mr. Roberts? We've seen him in Lobby 2 last couple of weeks, really bringing the pain to those around him with some excellent driving. So with this step up into Lobby 1, can he demonstrate? And actually, to be fair, I think I advocated that he should probably be there or thereabouts up in this level. Wasn't he not so far ahead? I know he's left the room, so maybe he's coming back for Lobby 2. But some of the drivers in Lobby 2 very, very quick, and to be fair, could probably slot in here without too much of a problem. Okay, I'm a little bit concerned that I've suddenly lost signal, completely lost signal. Bear with me, I don't know what's happened there. I'm still in the lobby, I think. I don't know what happened, but my PlayStation just turned itself off. No warning, no nothing. It just literally just turned itself off, which is why the signal disappeared. I'm working on coming back very quickly. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but yeah, that's really odd because it's not even a year old, this PlayStation. I'm coming. It does mean I'm going to lose keyboard controls, though, I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah. Yeah, but then I see what you're saying, this thing maybe, but I've got a hell of a lot of other equipment plugged into the same place, and it only affected that, which is a bit weird. But there we go. It's giving me that telling off for not turning it off properly, like I had a freaking say in it. Right, here we go. Let's get back in and see what's going on. There is a lesson to be learned from this. You don't have to reset the lobby for me. There is a lesson to be learned from this, of course, which is don't buy new things and unplug everything. If it's plugged in and working, just leave as it was. Bloody pain in the arse. Yeah, that's first time for me, that one. No, I'm not that bad. I've got 8 things plugged in around my desk, but it's all like necessary things. I haven't got like loads of lights and all that palaver. Just the normal shit. Just my PC and the router and the modem and the PlayStation, 2 screens. What else? That's it, really. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else. No, but to be fair, I needed to replace my desk, mate, because it was seriously, it was huge. When I tell you, it was originally my great grandfather's, and then he handed it down, and he handed it down, and then I got it from my mum. And it's a big Victorian writing dead, massive fucking piece of craziness. And obviously I didn't want to get rid of it because it's been in the family for years, but I didn't have anywhere else to keep it, so I was using it as my desk. But I've made some space in the shed, and it's going in there. And yeah, I've just basically. Yeah, I just needed a new desk. Wanted to make it smaller. It was taking up too much room. Right, here we go. I think I'm in. It's loading. Boom. There we go. I'm back. I tell you, I'm a little bit concerned about the picture quality, though. Okay. Right, I think we're all good. I think we're all good. Oh, well. So we've got, yeah, we're waiting for one more. D-Robert's getting added in those group threes. I tell you what, it's going to be an interesting battle, actually, because he's pretty darn racy, is Mr. Roberts in that GR3. He's in the Mustang as well, so it's going to be a head-to-head with Nicky in terms of car performance. We've got Maligator who's in the RCF. We've got Arcanite in that 650S. Should be a good little battle between those 4 within that Group 3 class. In terms of the Group 1s, Philo is obviously going to be the man to beat. He showed incredible pace through qualifying, with Fulltech being not too far off the pace with him there as well, both A-plus drivers, of course. But I don't think you can count out Scorpio Ivan or Corey or whoever else is missing. Fulltech, yeah, Fulltech, who's coming in now. So, yeah, I think we're going to have an interesting fight. Yeah, do you know what? I don't know what it is. It's I didn't have that problem before, but I do now. Strangely, But I'm actually looking at the feed coming in. The feed coming in, it doesn't look grey. But the feed, if that makes sense. Essentially, I've got a screen I can look at which shows me what's being fed into the screen. And that's not grey, but it could be... Right, let me have a look at something. I'm going to have a fiddle. Hang on. I fiddled. I fiddled and fixed it. That was an easy fix, to be fair. Yeah, it just reset some settings because the feed into it disappeared abruptly. So yeah, it should be all right now. It should be all right. So Legion back in. That gives us 9. Any more coming? That'd be good if there was a few more coming. Some late comers. As you see, I'll be messing around with the Expo. Yeah, full colour saturation. I don't know. The thing, as I said earlier, so what you can see there, that grey thing, is what I see. I've got a screen to my right-hand side, which is direct feed from PlayStation, or direct feed from PlayStation. But it's the screen for the PlayStation rather than the PC, and that is currently greyed out. But the feed, the feed into the PC is a kind of top end. HDMI cable. I have a feeling when I plug the HDMI from the PC back to my right hand screen that I used a substandard one out of my drawer of wires. And as you know, anyone over the age of 30, or at least anyone that has a family, has a drawer of wires. And if you don't, are you even a man? That's we've got this debate. What defines a man and a woman? You define as a man if you have a drawer full of wires and just in case pieces of wood in the shed. Right, so we are pretty much ready to go, I think. Race will begin shortly. So what do we got? We got an hour ahead of us here at Interlagos. The Group 1s will obviously disappear off into the distance very, very quickly. 3 or 4 laps before they start closing up, do you think? Or maybe a bit more. Right, let's bring up all my deets. No, don't want that. We want that off. We want that on, don't we? It is a rolling start, of course, which... Portos is coming back. There he is. He's back, indeed. Is the tyre still working? The tyres are still working. The race timing is not. We can't have it all, can we? We can't have it all. You've got one at 17. Good point. Yeah, everyone needs a drawer full of wires. Right, we are underway into turn 1. We go. Philo Engineering leading the way. Are we safely through without any crashing, which is always absolute paramount. Looking back, it looks like those Group 1s are all through cleanly. We'll go to Nicky, who leads out those Group 3s. He's already edged a little gap. And you can see that Arcanite already losing out to Roberts. I said to him, this guy's quick. I did say this guy's quick, and Roberts already finding a way around Arcanite. Can we see how he got that job done? Because it looked like he was already putting pressure on. Eyes into the centre S. He just seemed to have a much better exit out of that centre S. Able to use more of the road as well on the way through. So he is out and up ahead already into 8th position. So it's Nicky from Maligator, from Roberts, from Arcanite. That's your Group 3s. That's how they're looking at the moment. The gap already 6.8 seconds to those Group 1 cars, led by Philo Engineering, who's already pulled out a 1.2 second gap over Corey from THG. 3 Crowns, Scorpio Ivan is there in 3rd. He's got Legion right in behind him in 4th position, with Full Tech Racing from Francia just tucked up behind him at the moment. And you use that slipstream. It's a great place to use it, bring you down to the centre S. And then, of course, if you can get the job done under braking through the centre S, it's very easy then to hold onto it as you come down. All getting very, very squirrely as you came out of the S there. But does hold the back end of that car. Let's go on board, shall we? or at least this view here, which is it's a great view of the 4 and 5 Group 1 cars as they're heading through into what is the really, really twisty section in the middle of the circuit here. And you don't want to get held up behind a car. If you're a lot quicker than a car, and this is where you catch them, it's so difficult to find a place to overtake, and you really don't want to get unsettled through this sector. You want to kind of use it to close up and then kind of hold on to your position before you make the move further on the racetrack. And this is where they'll start to ramp it up now for a run up the hill and down again towards turn 1. This is lap 2. This is the SIMSA Endurance Challenge, round number 3 from Interlagos. It's a Endurance Challenge for Group 1 and Group 3 cars. We're currently watching with Full Tech Racing from France, who is chasing down Legion early on here. 57 minutes already left on the clock. Oh, that's a little tap in the back to say I'm here. And spins him out. That's that we've got to have a look at that, because that to me looked very much like, and we'll have a look over the rear wing here. So gets the braking wrong into turn 1. Little love tap there round the outside here, and let's have a look here. It certainly looks like he does. Yeah, he does catch him. So I think that was a combination. That was a combination of getting on the power early and being helped around by Full Tech. So I think that's something the stewards will probably want to take a look at after the event. So Philo is his gap has closed to within 0.8 of a second. Corey keeping close, as is Scorpio Ivan. Those three all sticking very closely together tyre wise. Philo on those mediums, Corey on the softs, and Scorpio on the softs. Now, because they're on softs and they're racing Philo on those mediums, they will want to get ahead as quickly as possible and get the most out of those soft compound tyres. They do not want to be caught in behind Philo Engineering for any significant length of time with the better tyres. They'll want to get those tyres working for them and try and build a bit of a gap before... or I'd certainly not allow Philo to disappear off into the distance, because of course if Philo stays ahead on those mediums, he's going to be able to run longer, of course, and then when he comes out on the softs, we'll just use the additional pace, the additional grip that those soft tyres give you to pull away from them later on. So big moves from them early on would be useful. Full Tech closing up the gap to that front three, 1.7 seconds. Already 7.5 ahead of Legion, who was facing the wrong way earlier on, and something that will get looked at. In terms of those Group 3 cars, Nicky now 3.6 seconds clear of the rest of the pack. It's Maligator in second for those Group 3s, and he's got the rampant Roberts right up behind him. Already looking for a way through in that Mustang. Arcanite dropping back a little bit, 4.4 seconds now off the pace in 9th position. Roberts getting round him very early on into this tricky little infield here at Interlagos, and you can see he's just biding his time. He's trying to find the pace in there behind Maligator, try and get in that slipstream ready as they head up the hill towards the start-finish line. He'll want to be a bit closer when they go through Junção if he really wants to benefit from it. But you can see it's almost like he's holding back at the moment. He's not giving it everything it needs in making sure that he keeps the car. You can always tell who's on the controller and who's on a steering wheel, can't you, by the way the front of the car moves. With the steering wheel, it tends to be a little bit more fluid, and with the control, obviously, you see the smaller increments of movement. He's not really close enough to get a huge slipstream benefit at this stage. And you can see just up ahead, that's Nicky, just going over the brow of the hill into that centre-S, into the braking zone they go. Nowhere near close enough to be thinking about a move. He'd have to bide his time, maybe hope for a mistake, or at least take another opportunity elsewhere. Although he did get, it looked like he got through there quicker, but you can see that just getting on the power that little bit too early in the back end, and we well know that this Mustang wants to kill you every single time you get in it. Every time you think about the accelerator, the back end says, let me go first, let me go first. Like a really, really angry queue jumper. So you've got to be so subtle with the accelerator coming out of the corners in this Mustang, because it's death personified. You've got to bear in mind it's an American car, and American cars are built for going in straight lines, because they have very long straight roads and not many corners, as you well know. Back with those, that's Arcanite there in the 650S. He's not super off pace, he's on those soft tyres. Mediums for Maligator, so Roberts again, look how quickly those softs are wearing. He needs to try and get around him. Nicky on the softs as well. Right, so Philo out in the lead still. He's still got Scorpio and Corey for company. The gap pretty much staying the same, but he's got the benefit of those medium compound tyres with that with much better tyre degradation than the softs in the hands of Scorpio and Corey behind. And we can see already they're starting to wear through those tyres. Not quite as damaging. It's quite interesting actually. So the Group 1s, obviously they're putting massive speed and massive loads through their tyres in comparison to the Group 3s. But in terms of tyre wear, those Group 1s seem to be able to look after the tyres a little better. Well, certainly in that Porsche 919. Then if we look at Nicky on the softs, we look at that halfway worn already in the Mustang, although it is a Mustang trait to absolutely fuck with your tyres. There we go, Roberts is ahead of Maligator. We'll see if we can see that move into the centre. Go before the centre rest, or after the centre rest, I'll say. So he made his way through, but again, Mustang tyres absolutely burning through. The medium's doing pretty well there. Arcanite, he's on the soft. See the difference actually? That's the difference. So actually, that is a Mustang issue to put so much through the tyres. So whatever you might gain in straight line speed, and certainly it looks like the Mustangs are pretty strong here, I think they're going to struggle tyre-wise in terms of degradation, because you can see just how much load they've put through it. And here we are, 6 laps in, and here come the Group 1 cars streaming through now. And you can see that Philo is now behind Scorpio Ivan. Scorpio Ivan has made that move and up into the lead, and he's starting to pull a bit of a gap, which is absolutely what he's going to need to do on those soft compound tyres. And while Philo is running those mediums, 1.3 seconds the lead. See Philo there. He's not been pushing super hard, whereas Scorpio Ivan has been. He's already into those sub 120 qualifying times in that Porsche 919, 1.6 seconds. He's going to need a much bigger gap than that, because Philo's already 1.6 ahead of Corey, who didn't have the greatest of laps on lap 5. Lost a couple of seconds, and it's just pulling him off that pace. A bit closer to Full Tech, who's running there now in 4th, but Legion has closed that gap, 4.3 seconds. To those front runners, as you see here on lap 8, those lap 6 for the Group 3s, lap 8 for the Group 1s, who are now just all lapping for the first time the Group 3 runners. So Scorpio leading the way. He's got to make sure it's paramount importance that he doesn't allow Philo to close that gap back up. Because he's on those soft tyres, he knows that he's got a finite amount of time where his tyres are going to perform better. Well, I suppose he doesn't necessarily know that Philo's on the mediums. So he has to kind of gauge that Philo's got X amount of pace. He's a bit quicker than him at the moment. The chances are he's probably on medium tyres. So let's make the most of this while I'm on the softs. As they say, make hay while the sun shines. And just open up that gap. Go full Max Verstappen. Get in the lead, open up a gap, and then you can think about what you're going to do later. You can think about engine management modes and fuel management and tyre management later, when you've got a bit of a gap with which to operate in. And that seems to be a kind of over. If you're going to start on the soft compound tyres, I think that's your kind of overarching strategy. You've got to go for. If you've got 2 tyre compounds, you've got to use. If you're starting on the harder compound, you're going for fuel and tyre management early on, getting that one out of the way, but not worrying so much about the full-on push. That put yourself in a position for a shorter pitch stop in terms of fuel, and for a bit of race management. Whereas if you're starting on the softer tyres, then it's got to be all about absolute speed. Just pushing the car to its absolute limits, taking whatever you can out of it, fuel-wise, tyre-wise, just to give yourself a gap, give yourself something to operate in, something for the car behind to chase. Because, of course, if the car behind is chasing, that's when mistakes can happen, when you're chasing down a gap. Particularly if the gap is larger than you would like. At the moment, you can see, of course, that Philo can see Scorpio just up ahead as he enters the corner. Scorpio coming out of it. As he comes out of a corner, Scorpio's heading into the next one. That's how it is at the moment. It's infinitely easier to chase a car when you can see the car than it is when you can't. Because although look, you've got the time there on the side of the screen, unless of course you're in VR, then of course Sony hate you and they don't want you to know how you're getting on. But they hate you because they've just taken another 500 quid off of you, and they realise that they haven't got any other way to fleece you for any more money anymore. But yeah, so if you can see the car, it's always much better because you've got that target. You can see which corners you're gaining in and where your improvement is and where you're getting a better exit and that kind of thing. You can also monitor what the car ahead of you is doing in terms of what lines they're taking and where they're finding a bit of time. When you can't see it and all you've got is the timer, you kind of have to gauge where they are on a racetrack and think about how they're performing. So I do think it's harder to chase down a number than it is to chase down a physical entity, as you can see there. Corey has the same thing. He can see Philo up ahead. He has gone sub 120 again. He's suffering a little bit with a lack of consistency, as you can see there from the timings on that right hand side. If we look at Philo, for instance, Philo he started to ramp it up a little bit, but he wasn't those 120s. As you can see that Scorpio Ivan's pulling away, he's ramped it up into those 120s. That's the first pit there from Arcanite from 8th position. But we look at Corey there. He's everything from a high 119 to a high 121. That's a 2-second fluctuation, and I think he would like to be a bit more consistent and not losing 2 seconds from his fastest time. And you see it quite a lot. Is the car? When you start pushing, is that when mistakes can happen? Full Tech very much involved, still 1.6 seconds back, and he again is suffering from the same thing, a bit of a lack of consistency. As we start, what's going on? I think the PlayStation just turned itself off again. It has. Oh, you're fucking kidding me! Why is it doing this? It's not like it's cool. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. Hang on. It's bloody turned itself off again and I can't get it to turn back on now. Oh, you're kidding. So it's not even like overheating or anything. It's relatively cool. It's got a nice breeze going through it. There's no super heat on there, so I don't know why it's doing this. I apologise is all I can say. I apologise. But I'm a bit screwed at the moment. I can get this thing to turn back on. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I'll see if I can solve it. No, it's just done it. It's just turned itself off again. Keep getting, for fuck's sake. I don't know what's wrong with it. I do apologise, but I can't get my PlayStation to stay on. For whatever reason that might be. And this thing's on for hours at a time usually, and I never have a problem. In fact, it was on for about 3 hours before the race started. I don't understand it. I don't know. It might be. I reckon it's a power supply issue, because I've never had a problem with the PlayStation. It's certainly not overheating. So I do apologise. Feel free to stare at a blank screen. I'm going to have to stop the stream because I can't do anything about it. Correntes, any chance you can jump on and try and get in that lobby and broadcast the rest of it for me? Before you go on and do lobby 2 at 8 o'clock. Yeah, bloody thing. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm going to have to end it there.